bringing sports, entertainment, and technology podcasts together. This is SPNT.
You're listening to the Who-Dey Weekly Podcast. Who-Dey Weekly is brought to you by Stitcher.com. Download the Stitcher Smart Radio app today at Stitcher.com/SPNT.
Son of a... That's gonna leave a mark. Ah! Crab cakes and football! Nice. That's what Maryland does! Oh! Ah! Ooh. Ooh. I got me! I got me! Are y'all done? Are y'all... Oh! Oh! Hot route! Red 7, red 7, red 7!
Any other questions?
Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch! Nom 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 nom! I'm fine! I'm okay!
Okay,
I'm
Dad.
fine! I don't... What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Whew, wow, I didn't expect that at all. I really didn't expect that.
I don't think any Bengals fans expected what happened on Monday night. Glad you could join us here for episode 80 of Who-Dey Weekly. Hope that wasn't too much overkill. Could you get the symbolism there? Bengals took it on the chin. Wow, 44-13, stubbing their toe on Monday Night Football in front of a national audience. I guess we're going to get into it. It's going to be a nice therapy session here on the 80th episode of the podcast. Glad you could join us alongside Mickey Mentzer, our good buddy Tim Bates. He's back. What's up, Timmy? How you doing, buddy?
Well, after a game like that, it makes you say Who-Dey Weekly. But, I mean, it's one game out of 16. Hopefully we can bounce back quickly. It was quite a disappointment, though. I think all of us would agree with that.
It wasn't their best moment, that's for sure. But we're glad you're back. We missed you for a couple weeks there. How have you been, bud?
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Staying busy at work, but, always glad to talk about the Bengals. And I tell you what, it was tough, though. Monday, I've got a buddy at work that's a Browns fan, and, he was very quick to or I guess it was Tuesday, but he was very quick to point out how bad we looked. So.
Well, that's okay. They didn't play their best either. So.
No, they looked awful too.
Joining us also is our good buddy Mickey Mentzer. He says he's going to. I mean, he checked the tracking tonight. His camera will be here next week, guys. I am stoked for everybody to finally see what our good buddy, number one fan, Mickey Mentzer looks like. What's happening, Mickey? How you been?
Yeah, it'll be here. Who knows if we'll get it hooked up? I might be a little computer illiterate. Everything's good, and I agree that loss on Monday was ridiculous. And the Browns had no business talking smack. Theirs was just as bad, except theirs looked a little more competitive. But when you look at what their offense did, it was terrible. The only difference is ours was on national TV, and theirs was probably blacked out for all we know. So, yeah, it was rough.
It was rough, but hey, the good news is that it's week 1 of 16. The Bengals aren't out of it. Yes, they didn't play their best, and let's be realistic here, guys. They went up against the Baltimore Ravens team that was a pass away from the Super Bowl a year ago. I mean, they're legit. I mean, they're a good football team. I don't know if they're 44-13 good, but the Bengals they clearly did not come out of the starting gate very well, especially early in the game, down 14-3. So we'll talk about the game. Of course, we'll look ahead to this weekend as the Bengals home opener against the Cleveland Browns at Paul Brown Stadium and all that and much more here on the podcast. Don't forget, you can email us, podcast@whodayfans.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. We are at Who-Dey Weekly. It was a lot of fun during the game Monday night. I miss live tweeting during the games and seeing all the Bengals fans. It's pretty fun, and want to send a big thanks to everybody that retweeted on Monday night and that joined us for the Monday night game. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to Sunday afternoon as well. So, all right, Bengals lose 44-13. Let's point out the obvious here. Defensively, not that great. The secondary was awful. The linebackers were awful. The front four. I mean, there was everything about the defense Monday night was just terrible. Mickey, if you had to pinpoint one thing defensively that went right for the Bengals, can you find anything?
One thing defensively. I mean, we got some pressure. The Ravens did a really good job of handling what we threw at them. There was quite a few turnover opportunities, where we had balls in our hands and we couldn't finish the play. That would have been a big change. But no, I mean, it was a terrible game. Who-Dey today just popped into the chat room and said Geno Atkins looked good, and I agree. I mean, he's got to be the best player we have on defense, I'd say. I think that our corners got abused. I think our safeties got abused, and I think our linebackers really got abused. So, yeah, it wasn't a good showing. There's not a lot good to say about giving up 44 points in your first game.
So, Tim, when you look at Leon Hall, I mean, we know, granted, he hasn't been around for a while. He, injured himself a year ago. This is really his first legit game action. Didn't look sharp out there. He could have had an interception, and then on the very next play, he just looked he looked awful against a tight end, which let's face it is a mismatch, but still, it didn't look very good.
Yeah, Hall kind of has his moments where he's just not as good as what you would expect him to be. And so long term, I think our hope is that Drake Kirkpatrick will be the number one corner. But, Hall I can forgive a lot more than our corner that we picked up from Dallas, Terrence Newman.
Yeah.
I just really thought he looked silly out there. And Taylor Mays made some boneheaded plays, and he got yanked, halfway through the game. But I do like the fact that he had a little fire to him. He was laying some wood out there, and he was hitting the other team, which is, a nice thing. But it does cost you when you get hit with those big penalties, though. So the secondary definitely was not very good, and I didn't think Maaluga had his best game either.
That's putting it nicely, Tim. That's putting it nicely.
Yeah, Ray just you could tell there was some rust there, and he just wasn't quite up to speed on things after missing most of the preseason. So some of that's to be expected. And, we really made Flacco look like a Peyton Manning, minus 10 years. So he I think that they just kind of caught us on our heels. And but yet, going into the start of the second half, I felt like we had a chance to win it. And, we drove all the way down to the one and kicked the field goal, and they just started tearing us apart from there. So we hung with them for a half, and we just didn't show up after that.
There was a couple of key plays in the game, Mickey. The Bengals get it to 17-13, and even before that, the tight ends for the Ravens. I don't know if I've seen. And granted, the Bengals historically have never been able to cover tight ends, but on Monday night in particular, I don't know if I've ever seen tight ends as open as the two for the Ravens Monday night.
Right. I mean, the cushion we were given was unbelievable. And, our corners were given a pretty big cushion, but our linebackers in particular, just one play jumps out at me. We had them stopped at 3rd and 15, and you're just hoping your defense gets off the field, and the tight end has got a 5-yard cushion. It's unbelievable. I mean, I can't understand why you wouldn't play tight, on a down like that. But yeah, tight ends do burn us, and I think that shows a weakness in our linebacking core. And, I agree. Maaluga just looked lost out there. And, you expect more from a guy this far into his career in the middle. And I don't know, like every day, making a change in middle linebacker makes a little more sense. But also in the same breath, this is the first game. I hate to overreact over one showing. And like you said, it was a competitive game. And when, we were down 17-3, we scored at the end of the half, on a great run by Green Ellis, which I'm sure we're going to get into. And then, come out of the half, and I would have loved another touchdown there to make it even. But scoring the field goal there, you're like, all right, now if we can get a stop, this is a game. And then that's where the wheels fell off the wagon. But, yeah, I think, to go back to the original, our coverage of tight ends has historically been weak, and I'm not impressed by what I saw in this game.
Before we get into the positives, because there were very little, but there were some Monday night. One thing I wanted to ask both of you guys, Tim, I'll start with you. There was a replay or a chance for replay when A.J. Green caught the football, went to the ground and lost control. They ruled it incomplete. Now, Joe Reedy on Twitter was screaming that Marvin should have challenged. Mike Pereira, the former head of officials for the NFL, tweeted that Marvin did the right thing by not challenging because it would have been ruled incomplete. So good news, Marvin didn't challenge that, but still it was a questionable call by the referees. Then later on, there was a touchdown by Anquan Bolden where the football clearly hit the ground. Replay showed that. They went to the booth. They still confirmed it as a touchdown. So I guess my question is, these are replacement refs. They did not have their best game Monday night. A lot of blown calls, a lot of poor spots as far as where the football goes during the game, Tim. How much do you think this had any effect, if at all?
Well, it certainly put us on our heels and kind of put us in the hole some in that game. And I felt like there were a couple of spots that were just really bad. And, like as soon as the ref kind of, set himself up to mark where the ball was going to go, I, started yelling at the kids because, what else do you do? And, and I'm like, they're cheating us out of the game. And that, that was early when we were still in it. And, I'm not sure that would have saved us from the,
Uh-oh, did we lose you? Oh, there you are. We lost you for a sec. There, you're back.
Okay. But, it certainly put us on our heels, and it was disappointing and frustrating. I'm sure everybody else watching at home was as angry as I was at, just some of the calls and, especially that touchdown. And it's not the first time we've ever gotten really bad calls on the road, but the fact that it's replacement refs just makes you that much madder about it. And, I was really disappointed with how that turned out. But even still, I don't feel like that's what cost us the game. I think we just blew it.
Yeah, Mickey, and that's going to be a story for until the real refs do come back. But I would say they had maybe a small effect, but it certainly wasn't a big enough effect that it cost them the game.
I agree. I mean, and these refs are in a no-win situation. I mean, every call they make is going to be amplified, especially when they miss them. And people have to understand that watching it on your TV and seeing it in game speed is a totally different thing. I I will argue that the A.J. Green catch and people still saying that was, no football move. I mean, that's bull crap. I mean, it's unbelievable what you have to do to catch a ball. He caught that ball, tucked it, started running, and then they're going to say it's incomplete. Like it's unbelievable. Not saying the refs made the wrong call, just that's the rule. Just that they had to define it like that. I mean, if you can't tell that guy caught the ball, then there's something wrong. And then the one in the end zone, like they did look at it, and who knows what angles they saw. I know if you're at the game now, they show you the same thing that the umpire or whatever is looking at that in the camera. So, maybe they missed that one angle that showed it hitting the ground. But, I mean, dark ball, dark gloves, pocket under the body. That's a tough call, and that's one of those ones. Had they called it incomplete at the beginning, I don't think they would have, changed it either way. But, yeah, I mean, it stinks. And I agree with Tim. Like, the refs did not have anything on the outcome of this game. We got our butts handed to us in the second half. It just, I don't know. I never blame refs, but I didn't think they were too bad.
Donnie Redboy in our chat room, he says they were even divided on the Ben Jarvis Green Ellis touchdown, which I remember very, very clearly. One was signaling touchdown, one was saying down by contact. But speaking of Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, now let's switch gears and talk about some of the positives, because believe it or not, there were some positives in a 44-13 drubbing. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis' first official game as a Cincinnati Bengal comes out 91 rushing yards on 15 or 18 attempts, I think. He acquitted himself well, Tim.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because I got a fantasy trade request, somebody trying to trade me Green Ellis before the game. And when I noticed it after the game, I went to accept it, and they had already rescinded the trade. So it kind of shows you that people have realized that he's going to be a good player for us, and he kind of fits the need. And I tell you what I enjoyed about him is, Benson's had fumbled quite a bunch the last year or two, and Green Ellis I think has a NFL record for like consecutive carries to start your career without a fumble or something like that. But he's definitely known for not fumbling, so I was enjoying that aspect of his game. And he just tends to have a nose for the end zone. There was a fourth down play, I guess, at the start of the second half when we when we could have went for it on 4th and 1 at the goal line. And, we blew them up in the first half when we went for it, 4th and short, running behind Zeitler. And, I felt like if we could blow them up once, we could maybe have a chance to do it again. So I was a little disappointed that they didn't give that a shot.
Mickey, your thoughts on Ben Jarvis Green Ellis? I mean, you're right, and Tim said it well. They in the first half, the offensive line was pretty dominant, and they opened up a lot of holes for Green Ellis. And I agree. I was kind of surprised they didn't go for it there at the goal line too.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, that's the type of play that, like, if they stop you, it's a backbreaker. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. Would it really have mattered? But
no, but you got to think about it this way too. If they stop you, they have to go 99 yards.
Yeah, but remember how they opened the game?
I was at the UK game over the weekend against Kent State, and we turned it over on downs at the 1, and then first play for Kent State, the guy trips over his own feet and falls down in the end zone, and it's a safety. So even if you miss it there, it's really got their backs against the wall.
I agree, but then I mean, knowing what we know now, it's probably a 44-10 game. You know what I mean? But I mean, he did move the ball well, and one of the most exciting things about him is how he performs in the red zone, which is, I mean, it's kind of funny, when you turn and look at what Benson did in Green Bay. I mean, he was terrible, and he looked great in the preseason. So I definitely am excited about the law firm here in Cincinnati, and I'm really excited to see what he does, for the Bengals in the red zone, because I think that was a weakness last year, and we can really improve there. And I think he's the type of guy that just finds that hole, finds those 3-4 yards where there's none, and can get you in the end zone in a tight space.
The play of young baby Hawk. Here was a guy that we talked about in the preseason, and he came out and had a fabulous game for the Bengals. For somebody his size, and we've all known how quick he is, but to have 8 catches for 86 yards against a pretty good secondary in Baltimore, Mickey, he was just a pleasant surprise. And we've seen flashes of it, but if he can do this every game, I think that's really going to help out AJ Green and Jermaine Gresham as well.
I agree. I mean, I've not been a huge fan of Hawk. He did some good things last year. I just never bought into him. And just seeing what he did in this game was, and what he offers for the future, in those screens and just finding the hole. And I mean, it's ridiculous how he can go from a stop and then just be full speed in a couple steps. And finding holes. He's not a big dude. I hope he never gets blown up. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what Hawkins offers, because he just seems to know how to get open and then make something happen after the catch. And that's exciting. We haven't had that in a while, and I can see why he's an easy Shipley replacement.
Yeah, Baby Hawk's kind of my version of Mickey's Vontez Burfict. He's kind of my favorite guy that not everybody is on board with. It's not like A.J. Green or Andy Dalton, but he's a cool guy. I got to meet him at training camp and, talk to him for a little bit. And, it's exciting to see him play. He's shifty. He's kind of the Ray Rice of receivers. And, he just kind of finds a way to get through people, even though you don't think that he will. And, so I enjoy Baby Hawk and was definitely excited to see him get a shot. And it seems like he's going to make the most of it.
So there were some bright spots. Hey, it's week 1. The Bengals, let's see. I remember a couple years ago in 2009, they lose their opener on a fluke play against the Denver Broncos. They go on and win the division. Hey, it's game 1 of 16. You're not going to win them all. Yes, they didn't look their best, but there were signs. They fought back on the road, got it to 17-13, and unfortunately the wheels fell off after that. There's no reason to panic. It's the Ravens. They're a good team. The Bengals will get better. It's week 1. Keep the faith. That's all I have to say about that. All right, let's do some shout-outs.
Shout-outs.
Tim, who you got this week?
I'm going to shout out my friend Will, who took me to the UK Kent State game. And also I'm going to shout out Jason Markham and the other players in our fantasy leagues. We've got, I think, 20 total players in 2 leagues, so it's been pretty fun. I won both of my matchups in the first week, so I'm pretty happy.
There you go. Yeah, it's funny. I missed the draft, and I auto drafted. I ended up with Peyton Manning, Jimmy Graham, Randall Cobb, and the Bears defense, and I scored 96 points. I'll take it. Thank you, Yahoo. That was fantastic. You did well drafting, by the way. Thank you. Mickey, who you got this week?
My shout out is going to be to @Who-Dey today. Posted some interesting things on my Twitter feed. One of the ones kind of touching on what you said, Nick, is the Bengals were 1-2 last year in the first 3 games, and it was a pretty good season last year. I mean, I really think they can turn it around. Like we talked about last week, they have an extremely favorable schedule from this point on. And some of you non-believers, which were right, pick this game as a loss. I just wish it wasn't such a bad loss. But, yeah, I mean, the Bengals can still go on a run right now and change their fate, and I'm expecting it. Well, the good news is that, they have the perfect medicine for that, and the Cleveland Browns coming to town this week. So, yeah, that's a cool shout-out @Who-Dey today. He's in our chat room. Speaking of chat rooms, you can join us live each and every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time here at whodayfans.com/video. We have a fun little chat room. It's a lot of fun. A lot of cool Bengals fans in here. If you can put up with Reed and Bader's antics, it's still a lot of fun. Those guys are funny dudes, and we'd love to see you in the chat room as we talk Bengals each and every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Once again, at whodayfans.com/video. If you have a chance, tune in and check it out. It's a lot of fun. My shout-out this week goes to @Bengals Scott. He's one of my new followers on Twitter. And our friend John in Australia, @JoeLoy29, I believe is his Twitter handle. He said he had to watch the game with his brother, who is a Ravens fan. Worst night ever. So there you go. I apologize, John. I wish the Bengals could have done better for you, but hopefully you get a chance in Australia to catch a lot of Bengals games this year. If you want to be shouted out here on Who-Dey Weekly, send us your tweets @Who-Dey Weekly. You can follow Mickey. He is @Who-Dey Fans. And you can follow Tim as well. He is @TimBoots, TIMMBOOTS. Yeah, I just had to play that one more time. Your UK Wildcats did okay, Tim. What are they 1-1 now?
Yeah, they're 1-1. Boy, they started out looking like the Bengals in the second half. They couldn't do anything. They were down 7-0, and then Max Smith, he's not our 4-star quarterback from Highlands that's going to be the next big thing. But, he seemed to be a pretty serviceable quarterback and, is pretty sharp on his passes. So I'm pretty excited about that. And it looks like Patrick Tulls may get a red shirt. So trending up for the Kentucky Wildcats.
I had to play it. I'm sorry. I just want to play my sound
That's
effects.
all right.
You know, hey. And I always like getting a UK reference in there for you, my friend. So hopefully they get things going as well. All right, so let's look ahead. Bengals announcing this week that the Browns game, home opener, Sunday afternoon is a sellout. I know Mickey will be there, Mr. Season ticket holder. I wish I could go. Well, unfortunately, I don't have a chance to get down there. But the good news is I will be able to watch on TV. So the Browns, they were in the game against the Philadelphia Eagles late in the fourth quarter. Had the Browns decided to go for a 2-point conversion when they picked six Michael Vick, it would have ended 17-17. But the coaching got the best of them on Sunday. Instead, they kicked the extra point and they made it a 16-10 game. Vick goes down and scores the winning touchdown with a little over a minute to go, and the Eagles walk out of Cleveland with a 17-16 win. Both quarterbacks with 4 interceptions. I hope that that's not the case on Sunday, guys. When we look at the Browns game, we know that the Browns are terrible. We rip on them all the time. In fact, we need to get the photo caption stuff going again, Mickey. We know that the Browns are terrible, but at the same time, it's an AFC North rivalry, Mickey, and you know that they're going to bring some semblance of a game.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this game with some people today, and this is not the type of game that the Bengals need to blow anyone out. Like, I mean, if they do, that's great. I just don't see it happening, but I want this to be the type of game where it's never a question. They had several games like that last year where you were never concerned that you were going to lose the game, and that's what I'm wanting to happen. And I don't expect Dalton to throw 4 picks to a team like Cleveland. I don't know if I just don't expect 4 picks from Dalton ever, really. But the Browns played pretty bad, and I think their defense was tough, but I think it was more of a case of that Philly is just maybe not as dream teamish as they think they are. So I'm expecting a lot of Bengals fans hope to go up this weekend.
Me, myself, I'm really hoping to see a lot better pass rush in this game. I felt like we came up short in that area against Baltimore, and that really, kind of took the bite out of our defense. And, I thought there were a lot of positives offensively, in Monday's game, and plenty of stuff to build on. But the defense just looked awful. So I'm very much hoping that we can come out and maybe get 5 picks this week against Whedon. I'm going to bench Trent Richardson on my fantasy team this week. I fell for that last week. So I'm really hoping that he turns out to be just a total dog. And, I really hope we embarrass him. But historically, that doesn't seem to be the way this matchup goes. I think back to some of the 50-something to 40-something games that, back in the mid-2000s. And, it's usually pretty crazy. And occasionally the worst team wins. And, I definitely feel like we're the better team. Hopefully we can clean up our act and get everything straight and, put the Browns at 0-2 where they belong.
The Browns defense managed to force 5 turnovers on Sunday against the Eagles. The good news, though, the Eagles rushed for 150 yards. So the Browns defense, you can take advantage of their defense. And I think when you see that Benjarvis Green-Ellis managed 91 against the Ravens, you got to think we're going to see a lot of him on Sunday, Mickey.
Yeah, for sure. I think that what plays to the Bengals' favor is how one-dimensional the Browns are going to come at them. I think that kind of touching on what Tim said again. I think that our defense is going to show way more. I think guys are getting healthy. I just don't see this being a challenge, but I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm ready to put on the orange and black, get down there, have the Bengals win, get back on track, all those good things.
The big question, are you legitimately going to tailgate this weekend?
What's a legitimate tailgate?
Well, all I know is Tim and I went to the Ravens game, and you were MIA.
Come on, you pick one game that I can't get down early for. The bus, I will be down there on the bus. Yes, tailgating it up.
So you're going to be Longworth Hall for those of you who are listening. If you want to swing by and check out Mr. Mentor himself, Longworth Hall, right?
Yeah, Longworth Hall, back row, grilling it up, playing some Tecmo Super Bowl, the normal stuff.
The Who-Dey fans bus. I'm going to try. We'll Tim and I will certainly be down there for the November 26th game against the Oakland Raiders, as the Bengals are going to trounce Carson Palmer if he's the quarterback by then. He probably will be, but I'm looking forward to it. If you want a chance to win 2 tickets to that game and hang out with myself and Tim, don't forget to check out our contest page, our 85 for 85 contest page. I don't think that Chad will be attending that podcast. That's just a guess. However, there's a chance to win 2 tickets to the game, which is really the most important thing. Isn't that right, Tim? So,
yeah, and I enjoyed what Mickey said last week. Kind of told the story of where he had a friend that knew Zimmer, and Zimmer's got special blitzes to put Palmer on his rear, and that just excited me. I was already geeked up for that game.
He doesn't need special blitzes. He just needs to drop everybody in coverage and let Carson throw it. So
yeah, it's true, but I think he wants to hit him.
That's true. Yeah, I think hitting him is as Mickey said, is the most important thing. Anyway, if you want a chance to win those 2 tickets, log on to whodayfans.com/85 for 85 and follow the instructions. Send Chad your tweets. At this point, I don't think he'll be on the show, like I said, but either way, it'll be a lot of fun to give away those 2 tickets. And I can't wait, though. We're 5 episodes away, guys. I can't believe this is episode 80.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Man.
It seems like just yesterday that Bull Barch was the host of the show. So.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, let's look at let's make some predictions here. Tim, we'll start with you. If you give a score prediction or any other kind of prediction for Sunday's game, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to predict 28-14 Bengals. And I may be going out on a limb here, but my favorite play of the Monday night game, after Dalton throws his horrible pass that gets run back for a touchdown, Andre Smith runs halfway across the field and tries to put a lick on Ed Reed, and I loved it. So Mike Zimmer's going to put Andre Smith in on defense, and he's going to sack Whedon, pick up the fumble, and run it back for a touchdown, 28-14 Bengals.
That might be the craziest prediction I've ever heard. That would be kind of cool if that happened. But I do remember what you're saying. And I even tweeted about it. I was impressed with Andre's hustle. He didn't get there, but he still, made an effort, which is that's half the battle, especially when you consider him and where they were in the ball game. Mickey, if you had to give us a prediction, what do you got?
I'm gonna rock 24-13 Bengals. I just think it's not going to be a huge win, but it's not going to be a question. I don't know that the Browns are going to be able to get in the end zone more than once, so that's where it's at.
So let's take some phone calls, shall we? Let's hit up the Who-Dey line. Who's this?
This is John from Kentucky. I'm in Louisville tonight, sitting in my truck. I'm a truck driver, and I do listen to the podcast every week. And tonight just happened to have a little downtime and was able to listen to you guys live. And I do enjoy your show, and thanks for taking my call.
No problem. What do you got for us?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment real quick, if I may, about Ray Malaluga. I saw on an article on the Who-Dey Weekly site just yesterday that whoever wrote the article said that Malaluga's days are numbered. I think so. I think this is Ray Malaluga's last season in Cincinnati. I don't mean to be overly critical of the guy, but I'm sorry. We ain't going to no Super Bowl with him at linebacker.
Hey, no, I'm with you. I agree. I don't think he has played, considering where they drafted him, how much hype he had coming out of college from a vaunted USC defense. In fact, I think all of those guys at USC have been overrated in the NFL. But still, the way he played on Monday and being that it's a contract year, I agree. I don't think he'll be back next year.
No, I think Ray Rice just – and Ray Rice is a great running back. But, I mean, come on. You can't let him bust for all these yards. And it kind of seems to me that during the Ravens game that our safeties, and this is just my opinion, I could be totally wrong, but it's kind of hard to cover Troy Smith and Ray Rice at the same time, isn't
Yeah, that is a good point. And I certainly, yeah, I mean, let's face it, John. The defense as a whole, and it wasn't just Ray. I mean, the secondary was awful. I mean, they had no pass rush, and you got to think though, you have to have a little faith in Mike Zimmer for this week, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I think we'll rebound. I mean, what was it, last season on opening day, Baltimore stomped Pittsburgh. It was like 35-0.
Yeah.
I mean, we did get 13 points on the board, So if they can do that to Pittsburgh on opening day, they can do that to about anybody. But no, this weekend in Cleveland, which I will be in attendance, I think we'll beat Cleveland. I think we'll rebound. And I do think we'll have a pretty good season overall. In the next draft, I hope we get a few safeties, and once Perfect is ready to go, like I said, I think Mr. Malaluka is going to be traded.
Well, I agree completely, John. Hey, we thank you for your call here on Who-Dey Weekly. Safe travels and go Bengals, my friend.
Who-Dey.
Who-Dey, that's right.
Who-Dey.
That is John.
Make sure to give me a honk as you drive by Brandenburg, KY.
Absolutely. Hey, that was pretty cool. If you want to give us a call here, we got a couple more minutes here on the podcast. The number's 404-Who-Dey-7. I know Mickey and I, a couple weeks ago, we opened up the phone lines. Kurt down in Asheville, North Carolina, dialed us up. I like this new exchanging of phone calls here. We love hearing from you, Bengals fans, so give us a shout. We've got a couple more minutes here on the podcast. So, Mickey, you said 24-13. Tim, you went, what, 28-14?
28-14.
All right, here, I'm going to go and do one better, guys. When I look at the stats last week, the Eagles racked up 456 yards of offense against the Browns. Now, they had 5 turnovers in that game. That's why they only scored 17 points. I think the Bengals are going to move the football. I think Andy Dalton is going to have a field day through the air, which is going to open up the running game for Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. I say Dalton throws for 3 bills, Ben Jarvis rushes for 100, and the Bengals win 35-14.
That would be outstanding. One thing about it, I really don't see the Browns being able to cover A.J. Green. He seemed like a man on a mission Monday night. He was just tearing up the Ravens secondary, and if things hadn't got out of hand, then I really feel like he would have been the star player of the game. So I'm calling for a touchdown this week for Mr. Green.
And don't forget, the Browns are losing Joe Hayden for the next 4 games. He'll be out this week. He'll be serving his suspension. So that's another a positive for the Bengals offense as well, Mickey.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck on what John talked about, and I don't know if any of you. I'm gonna rewind and break the flow, but I'm gonna go back to Malaluga, and there was one run in particular where the middle was open so ridiculously big that he could have just done somersaults through and got the first down, which was ridiculous. But the play I'm thinking about right now, I don't remember at what point in the game it was, but Flacco almost threw a pick, and I believe it was Thomas Howard had his hands on the ball, probably would have picked it, and Malaluga comes in and hits him and jars the ball loose.
Yeah.
And the camera kind of panned in, and as Malaluga was walking away, you could just see Howard staring at him like,
"What are you doing?
You're out of control, man! Like you're an idiot! Like there was no reason to run in there like that." And I just feel like that sums up Malaluga. He's so aggressive. He wants to make the play, but he just doesn't have, the wherewithal, I guess, to know, when to turn it on, when to turn it off, when to bite, when not to bite. And it's just killing him. And if we're not seeing it now, and like I said earlier, hopefully this changes, but if we're not seeing it now, then, you're not going to see it because he's far enough in his career that this shouldn't be happening still. And I don't know. So, yeah, I agree. If his play continues, we're going to see Burfict soon. So, and then, to hit the chat room again, Who-Dey today, I believe, was asking us what we thought of the safety play. And, we kind of touched on it early. I didn't think it was great. I think, we got beat a couple times when we shouldn't. The problem with judging the way safeties play is you don't know the defensive call. Like, you don't know if he's supposed to come up and help with the run. You don't know if he was supposed to cheat over and help. There was what play was it? I don't know if it was the Bolden touchdown, but there was a play where Flacco looked off the safety, and that's obviously
that
something
was the
that you got to
touchdown, yeah, and it was play action too, I think.
that's something you got to get, you got to handle better. But, you don't know if they're supposed to help or if they're supposed to come up. So safeties take a lot of the blame when, other parts of the defense break down. But, I wasn't impressed with what I saw.
Yeah, if Bolden can get past your safeties, then you've got some real problems. I think he was famous for his really, really bad 40 time at the NFL Combine. But, he had a nice career in Arizona. I'm not a believer of him anymore. I avoid him at all costs in my fantasy leagues. And he still torches for a big touchdown. So it was disappointing.
We've got a couple minutes left here before we wrap things up here on Who-Dey Weekly. If you want to give us a call, number's 404 Who-Dey 7. We'd love to hear from you. Is there anything else that, as far as the Browns go, that we need to touch on? Are you interested to see what Trent Richardson has to offer, or do you think the Bengals should have a pretty good chance in stopping him on Sunday?
I'm interested. I think that Trent Richardson, is a new running back. He was pretty hyped. I'm interested to see what he can do. The Bengals in the past have helped young running backs' careers or struggling running backs look real good. So I hope that we can change that. But I don't know. I mean, I hope, I don't want the Browns to compete for the division or anything like that. But I kind of want to see what Trent Richardson has to offer. He's like the new life of running back in the NFL.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me back in the day, I don't remember what year it was, but we took a relatively obscure running back named Priest Holmes and made him a all-star in one game. So hopefully that's not going to happen with Trent Richardson. I don't think that it will. I think that we're going to have absolutely no respect for the passing game, and we're going to load up the box and just lay into him.
Yeah, I think that the Bengals are going to do – I think Coach Zimmer is going to really fire these guys up this week after a piss-poor performance Monday night. They're going to be ready to play. That the Bengals and Browns game is a huge rivalry. It's the home opener. Everybody's going to be fired up. Let's just hope that Ray can focus and keep his lanes and do his job rather than overrun plays and basically take away turnovers from his own teammates. So let's hope he can bounce back. And granted, he did miss most of the preseason. It was his first game back. But I don't know how many more free passes we can give him. Trent Richardson is the real deal, guys, and he's going to make the Bengals look bad if they don't play the way they're supposed to play. So I'm looking forward to that. I say 35-14. Mickey had 24-13, and Tim had 28-14. We'd love to hear your predictions and your thoughts on this coming game. So hit us up, podcast at whodayfans.com. Mickey, it's been grand. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week on camera, my friend.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. As long as all the shipments and all all the postal services come through on their end, I'll be on the compuper for you.
Fantastic. And we're glad, Tim, that we had you back. Looks like we're having some camera issues with you, but hey, we're glad you're back. It was we missed you. Hopefully, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, it's been fun being on, and hopefully I can be on a few more times for mid-October rolls around and I get real busy. But, Mickey, you might want to check and make sure you didn't put a 6-digit area code for your zip code on your package. Beta read reference.
Oh, postal code. All right. That's enough. We got to get out of here before this gets out of hand. Email us at podcast@whodayfans.com and follow us on Twitter at Who-Dey Weekly. Who-Dey Weekly is an SPNT production. For more information about our other podcasts, log on to spnt.tv. For my co-host, Tim Bates and Mickey Mentzer, I'm Nick Suberling. Hey, we'll see you next time on Who-Dey Weekly. Who-Dey.
Who-Dey.
Who-Dey.